Today is July 31st. We are
So then we're going to put this,
Stitchin.
we're not going to keep this in the trunk.
No, está aquí.
Yes, Marianne's got the camera out.
Halfway to the docks. Says I make it boring. I forgot to tell you we're in Kutsala, but we are on our way to Gdansk. Actually, suppose we are in the beautiful metropolis of Kutsala. Last night we ate at this fabulous restaurant, this wonderful town called Stettin. We never did find the castle, but we found this restaurant called The King and great roasted potatoes. And Hal would eat the fish with the head on and made the waiter take the head away. They probably thought he was weird. But we've been driving through one little town after another, and this is a typical type of town that we drive through.
They're absolutely charming.
They really are.
Now, don't be so boring.
We are in Suffolk. Our first meal together here.
Oh, Marianne, you do it so boring.
Oh, buddy.
Here we are on the most unbelievable hotel. You would not believe that you're in Poland.
Wait, show me. Oh, you're gonna.
After the Nazis took over Danzig, eventually they decreed that all Jews should live in one place. By that time, most of the people were older people, and they were all transported to a place in the Milchkannengasse where...
What year was this?
This was approximately, it must have been around 1941 or so.
1941 already.
She was still there?
Yeah, no, it must have been 1940, right? While she was there, people were deported to the Warsaw Ghetto. And Großmutti was twice practically under transport to the Warsaw Ghetto and was taken off the transport because by that time I was an American citizen and she had preferential quota. So she stayed in Danzig until June, late May 1941. And then went from Danzig by train to Berlin, and from Berlin in a sealed train through Europe to Portugal. And from Portugal,
a sealed train?
A train that was you couldn't get on or off. It was a special train filled with refugees, and she got off in Portugal and took a ship from Portugal to the United States, and I picked her up. So it happened it was her wedding anniversary and the day on which Germany attacked Russia. Then she came and she came in a complete state of nervous collapse.
How old was she then?
She was, let me see, how old was she? She was 87 when she died at 67.
She was in her mid to late 60s.
So how old was she in 41? Huh? 61, yeah, 61. And her greatest concern was that she had come and had not brought Großvater's library, my professional library. That had been all packed, and she was not able to bring it. That was absolutely crazy.
So when she came, she could just carry what she had with her? Did she ship other things?
No,
nothing.
She didn't have much there anymore either. And she came in this state of complete collapse, and we were then in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and I took her to Cincinnati to mother and to Hans, and they took care of her. She recuperated, and then eventually she decided that she wanted to be on her own and wanted to work, and worked in the kitchen of the Jewish hospital in Cincinnati.
So was that then when she lived in that rooming house?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a rooming house. What was it?
She had a room in
No,
in
no,
some people's
Beerwald.
apartments.
And
No, no,
Mrs.
no, no, no.
Beerwald.
Mrs.
Mrs.
Beerwald Avenue.
Mrs. Beerwald.
But she lived with Mrs. Beerwald too.
That was later.
Oh, that was later.
First, she lived in an apartment when she was working at Jewish Hospital. She could walk there
All right.
from an apartment on the corner of Burnett and Rockdale.
And
She
Rockdale.
worked at the Jewish hospital.
Yeah, right.
in Salem.
Uncle Wally, I have one question.
But I wanted to just reach back a little bit. We, of course, had urged her to come earlier and earlier and earlier, but she didn't come because she was getting her pension. My father was, the rabbi was an employee of the state, and therefore the widows got pensions, and she wouldn't come because she would be a burden to us. So she came across. She was a tremendous burden to us because the war broke out and she was there. Yeah, what did
Well,
you? Yeah.
at some point, I remember a story that they actually came to get her and somebody hid her under the bed or something. Where did I get that story?
I don't know.
I had heard, yeah,
That story is I think a total fabrication.
Imaginary.
Total fabrication. That nobody in the Kelter family ever was in Warsaw. This was the first time, and it's so close. I mean, after we drove it for 5.5 hours, so close. Nobody ever was in Warsaw, with the exception of my father, who was in Warsaw because he was dealing with the refugees, from the Bolsheviks and so on, of course. He helped 60,000 Jews migrate through Danzig to the United States. So he worked with JDC and with Hayas, and he went to Warsaw.
Do you think that they have record at the JDC in Warsaw of when we don't visit them?
About that particular,
About that particular-
I acted on this when Dad and Mother and Marianne came, because I needed an additional affidavit,
I knew
and the
that there were-
president I asked provided the affidavit for the Kelter family.
Because you brought that letter.
Yeah, because I called their attention to it.
Did you have to go to New York to do that, or?
No, I sent the letter, and I think I spoke to the man on the telephone. There was no difficulty at all. But the story that I wanted to share with you as far as Großvater was concerned, when he was at one of the JDC meetings in Warsaw, he decided that he wanted to go home, not in a second-class train. Second class meaning not first class, second class, not. There were 3 classes of them, and then there was the cattle car. So he wanted to go by cattle car the way it wasn't really a cattle car. There was one great big train and seats around. And that's the way the refugees. That's the way the refugees came. So he wanted that experience, and so he did. And he was sitting next to somebody, and he said to him, "Where are you going?" And a Jew, of course. And he said, "I'm going to Danzig." He said, "What are you going to Danzig?" He said, "I'm going to go to the United States." He says, "You have visa to go to the United States?" He says, "No." So why are you going to Danzig? He says, "In Danzig, there's a rabbi, and he sees to it that people get visas." He said, "You have a birth certificate?" "No." "So what you want?" "The rabbi in Danzig, he will see to it that I get a birth certificate, I get a visa, and I'll go to the United States."
And it was him he was talking to?
So, huh?
It was Großvater.
So Großvater said to him, "I happen to know that rabbi very well, and that rabbi cannot always be so helpful." He says, "Go on, you don't know what you're talking about." And so, sure enough, about a week later, there appeared, you see, my father's study was in our apartment, and there was a long corridor in our apartment, and which we called the Polish corridor because all the refugees were lined up there who wanted to see my father. So who was in the Polish corridor? But this man. And of course it was terribly embarrassed, and about 3 months later he had his visa, and he came to see my father, and he said, "New rabbi, who was right?"
About what?
The story about Hans and Mutzi and Marianne coming in 1938, they had decided to leave, but they were going to leave in the spring of 38.
They decided to
The spring
leave
of
leave in the
39.
spring
Spring of
of 39.
39.
Yeah, it's spring of 39. I'm
Right.
sorry. Yes.
Where were they living?
They were living here
In
in
Gdansk.
Gdansk. Hans was in the grain business. Father. And so they had decided to leave in spring of 39.
They
And
were
I-
leaving because the Nazis were taking over.
it was clear that he could no longer make a living in the grain business, and that there was no way in which he could maintain anything in Danzig anymore. So,
And they
I
decided,
went-
wait. They decided to come to the United States
Right. Because I
rather
was-
because you were there,
Right.
rather than
And
going
because
to
also
another
chances we
country.
thought at that time it would be better for him to link up with the grain business here, only to find out that just as the grain business was Jewish in Europe, so was Goyish here. There were hardly any Jewish grain merchants. So 1938 was the Munich crisis, as you may possibly recall from Hitler. The Chamberlain, the famous Chamberlain who dealt with Hitler and came back with his umbrella saying peace in our sea.
Right.
So in 1938,
Not unlike what's happening right now in Syria.
Sarah and I had been married in July 1938, and we knew that Hans and Lucy and Marianne were coming, so we had rented an apartment in Cincinnati that had a kitchen, a bedroom, and a living room. We occupied the living room with a sleeping couch, and that was planned that way. The empty room was for them because they brought furniture along. At that time they could still bring furnishings. They brought a lift with furniture. And that room was reserved for them and for Marianne. So 1938, Rosh Hashanah, I was going to Middlesboro, Kentucky to do high holiday services. Went by taxi to the train station in Cincinnati, Union Station, and the guy had his radio on. On the radio I heard that war was imminent in Europe, and that all the borders were manned with armies and military might, and that the only people who didn't know how critical the situation was were people in Germany. So I was terribly concerned because I felt that Hans, Lucy and Marianne would get stuck and would be called for the war. How could I communicate to them that that was the case? So when I got to the train station, I went to Western Union and I sent a cable to them. And it had to be a cryptic cable. So I said, Genesis 12, verse 1 to 2, Scandinavia. Genesis 14, verse 1 through 3. When Hans received the cable, loud volley. When Hans received the cable, he opened it and found, and God said to Abraham, go from your country, your father's house, to the land that I will show you, Scandinavia. For such and such a king and such a king were planning a war against the fourth king. And he then advanced the time of their departure. They didn't go to Scandinavia, but stupidly went to Belgium, which was really the height of stupidity. It was easier to get to. The height of stupidity, because if there had been a war, of course Belgium would have been, as it was, run over in no time at all. But this is how.
An empty room in your first apartment?
The empty room had what was it?
The empty room had the ironing board, which was his desk. He was studying in there at the ironing board.
Our suitcases, over which a Afghan had been thrown, that looked like
was
a
sort of
sofa.
a couch, a maple leaf couch.
One of my friends came and flung himself down on the thing. He got up very soon.
That was on the couch that you were sleeping on.
No, that wasn't.
No.
That was in the empty room.
As soon as your dad and mom and Marianne came, the landlord said, you may have a dog, but not a baby. So we had to move. So we found 3 other rooms someplace else that were
Jefferson
arranged as
Avenue.
follows: kitchen, their room, our room, bathroom. So your father's first job was as in a bakery, delivering baked goods,
Right.
actually, bread and so forth. A baker starts at 4 o'clock in the morning. Or does he have to go first to get washed? Through this room, which was also Woolly's study. He studied there, so he shouldn't disturb me. One night at 1 o'clock, we had a knock on the door, and Haberman, what was his name?
The leader and rabbi of the Washington Hebrew
He became an
congregation.
outstanding rabbi of the country. He says, Holy, my sister was out on a date, and it was too late for her to get back to her
The dormitory.
sorority, her dormitory. Can she sleep with you? And we had this one room, this one bed.
So I always say that Sarah slept here, and I slept there, and Rochelle was very beautiful, slept right next to me. So
In Sopwhat, here we are at the Grand Hotel, which was built in 1926. Uncle Wally remembers when this was being built, and it was the epitome of all hotels. The back side of the hotel. Our room is just about up there. And we are right on the beach. At the end of the pier in Sopwhat. Hello there, Mr. Sopwhat. We're going to walk out onto the pier. It cost us a lot of money to get in here, 1,000 slutskis each, which is the equivalent of less than 10 cents. Standing on the pier, we can get a view of our hotel.
Muzyki nie przekona. Poza tym nie mam tego sprzętu, żeby grać taką metalową muzykę i nawet nie marzę o takim sprzęcie. Marzę właśnie o takim sprzęcie, który mamy.
This is a promenade in Sopwhat. The alligators go down the street too. Teams of people. Of course, this is the height of the season.
They said they met on the beach with some kind of
Bernheim. I
Yeah,
think so. Walter
right.
Bernheim.
Oscar.
Walter Bernheim.
Oscar.
Oh, is that who it was, Uncle Oscar?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, somebody. Yeah, I think that's right.
Hi.
Where'd they meet?
here we are
Well,
sitting around,
Well, they were
one big
introduced
happy
that way.
family,
Having
drinking
Where,
their
which step
scotch,
of sand were
eating
they
their
standing?
35 cents worth of food. That's enough to
That's
feed.
what they're gonna do. And it wasn't, they're gonna ask.
And now when you know, it wasn't even this.
And look at our $3 worth of
Holy
roses.
I'm sorry, it was way down
The
the
thing
other.
that's
It
most,
wasn't
guess
this
what's
deep.
most
It was
expensive because we didn't have any more Deutschmarks, so we gave him a real American dollar. Mary Ann was pissed because she didn't get 30 cents change.
Man, yeah, he's gonna take a picture of you.
Oh, I want you to know the public restroom, because I had to hit it over on the pier, was 500 zlotys as opposed to 5,000 zlotys downstairs.
Now, why did you have to pay zlotys here when you're staying here?
Well, I guess if I told her I was staying in the hotel,
At the hotel.
she probably would, but I figured what's the difference, 50 cents, I can afford it.
That's what it comes out.
Did you have to gamble in slot skis?
No, dollars.
Man,
They wanted American dollars?
You got it.
man, Ray's gonna take a picture of us.
But she didn't like the looks of the face of my $20 bill.
Why, was it
She said the
damaged?
bank wouldn't take it. It was kind of worn. I said that's all I had, and she took it.
You want a US number?
Give me some more,
Tell
honey.
your story
That's
about your
cool.
We are walking along the path that is right next to the beach. And Sarah is calling this the walk of the trees, the tunnel of trees. Hello.
Hello. Turn around and say hello.
Well, hi.
There was another building next door which was the headquarters of the General Electric Company. In 1919 there was the Spartacist rebellion, a communist rebellion. The communists had occupied the building of the General Electric, which was right across from where we lived, and the police was up here, and they were shooting each other.
Oh.
And we were in the line of fire, and it was a Friday night, and my father had to come home from services. And we had one in our apartment. It was a big apartment, and we had one inside corridor. This is where we had our Friday night meal, and I will remember forever how we sweated it out for him to come home, because this was going on. But this year, all is exactly the way it was. There was a post office over there. This was a post office over there.
The post office where those people were in the window?
Right.
That's the post office.
And when people wanted to
what is this
entertain
building
themselves,
there?
that was customs. Customs. When people wanted to do entertain themselves, they would go and spend time. For example, the young rabbi who followed my father, when he and his wife wanted to entertain themselves, they came to the railroad station and walked around the railroad station. This was big entertainment.
What was there to do?
Let's take a look.
Is that the post office now? It says something with a P.
I don't know. Most likely it is. Then maybe this is the post office. This was the customs building. I don't know. I don't remember anymore. The train station to the beach.
Well, now, Wally, you said this is where you left when you left Danzig?
Sure. This is where it.
And
In
my parents-
September 36, the same.
No
Not
kidding.
one thing. Not one thing. Unbelievable. We still have 10 minutes before the guy comes. How we recognize him is another question. But see, this is where we are.
Oh.
This is where we lived. Right here, Hans and I were born in this very room. This very room. This church is still there. This is
Now, where is that? That's the church.
church is right there. This is where he met Großmutti.
How did they meet?
Well, he was a rabbi of the congregation, and she was a member of the congregation, so they met.
it's a
Okay,
romance.
so they met. And Großvater, my grandfather, had a schnapps factory. He made liqueurs
Dresden?
in Potsdam.
Oh, in Potsdam. So he
Potsdam.
moved to Potsdam too?
No,
No.
my Großmutti's father lived in Potsdam,
Grocery's father.
and he had a liqueur factory. Okay, liquor, and I started drinking liquor when I was 6 years old. You know.
That's why you like it so much.
Yeah.
A bootlegger.
And they had a villa in Potsdam where we spent every summer vacation. making the trip from Berlin, and then there was this wonderful, my grandmother and grandfather were not on speaking terms when they celebrated their 50th anniversary. It was a terrible, terrible marriage. And
But they stay together.
They stay together, absolutely. And my grandmother, we came by train, traveling during the night, and as soon as we arrived in the villa, we were put to sleep. And the finest childhood memory I have is waking up with this awful taste in my mouth. What was it? My grandmother was sitting next to my bed feeding me cake. She couldn't wait for us to wake up, so she was feeding us cake while we were sleeping. Awful. Then my uncle, who was a rich uncle, had a shoe factory in a suburb of Potsdam, in Nova West. And we got all our shoes there, but in order to bring anything from Germany to Danzig, there was tremendous customs. So I remember
Wait, now that was, Danzig then was part of Poland?
Was part of a free city, was a state of its own.
I thought that didn't happen until after World War I.
Well, yeah, sure.
Oh, this is now after World War I?
Well, sure, I was born in 1914. Yes.
Okay, okay.
So we would take the shoes. We had a wagon in my grandparents' beautiful garden. We had a wagon. We would take the shoes, tie them to the wagon, and ride them around so that they would be getting dirty and old looking, so that we could come to the customs with shoes that were worn. You know. And altogether, we learned to smuggle at the earliest possible.
Okay.
Parallel the church.
But the house is no more.
I want to know where I leave.
We'll see you tomorrow. The shipwreck, yeah.
Yeah, with the shipyard.
Yeah.
Where they had all the...
Yeah, we'll see that
Anything
tomorrow.
ever happen here?
Yeah, it's approximately 10-minute walk, a 15-minute walk from here.
But nothing happened right here at the railroad station.
No,
here.
absolutely not a thing. Not a thing.
Did you follow that when it was happening?
Oh, sure. Sure. I mean, you know, it's so amazing to me that of all the places in the world, this should be the place where solidarity goes.
Well, it's the place where they broke communism.
Yeah. I mean, it's you know, you can imagine what it means to me.
Yeah.
That this should be the place, you know.
So when they showed the shipyards and stuff, you knew what they were talking about.
Of course. See, the trainer of our Jewish sports club, who was an engineering student at the Institute of Technology where my brother-in-law taught, our house stood across the street from here down, and the church this was approximately the entrance to our house here. Yeah. The entrance was over there. Huh?
The garden would be back here?
No garden. No garden. That plaza, yeah. The plaza was here.
What's it called?
Not as old as the Trinitätskirche. Trinitätskirche is old. Nein, ich glaube nicht. Ich glaube nicht.
But look how lovely it is.
Da ist jetzt geboren und hier war nebenbei ein Hospital für arme Leute, die hierher gekommen sind, für arme Touristen, die hier war hier so und nebenbei bei dieser Kirche immer war das so gewesen. Nicht? Bei der Kirche. Und 1950 oder 1944 kommt die Kirche in die Hände der Protestanten.
An Italian man who opened up.
Ice cream in Langfuhr.
Yeah.
Eskimos.
Eskimos. All right, we'll have to remember it. We'll be in Langfuhr tomorrow, most likely. Huh? That's St. Joseph's Church. One of Danzig had, he says, 80 churches of Stadtreich.
Deshalb ist Jetzt kommen wir zu dem Rathaus, zu dem altstädtischen Rathaus.
Aha.
Das war ein großes, nicht?
Aha, sure.
Die damalige Zeit, nicht?
And Blaue Engel also.
7.
Town hall that was built by a Dutch architect, and the bricks were brought from Holland. This building was not destroyed during the war because it had a red cross on the top of it, so therefore it was not bombed.
Ornaments reflect the history of Danzig, which was Danzig and Poland and West Prussia and how it changed hands.
Geprägt wurde von holländischer Architekt, also im 16. und 17. Jahrhundert war die goldene Zeit von Danzig.
And Dutch architecture prevailed in the old city. I mean.
Das hat ganz ähnliche kleine, Rathäuser kann man auch in Holland sehen.
Come in. Haus, nicht?
Ja, genau. Steffenhaus. Das ist später gemacht, aber vor dem Krieg, also ein Teil von der Renaissance, im 17. Jahrhundert, also 100 Jahre später haben wir dann das bespielt, weil sie Geld haben, was sie wussten nicht, was sie mit dem Geld machen. Heute haben wir so wenig Geld.
Wie geht es in Danzig?
Das ist nicht so schlimm, also wir haben nur 20.000 wie sagt man, die nicht Arbeit haben.
Also Arbeitslose.
Also in der Stadt, die über die spielt dann aus der Barockzeit nur Danziger Musikstücke. Wunderbar.
Baroque music with an a cappella choir, a kleiner one,
Und ich wollte was fragen. Hast du alle hier?
Na, wir werden noch diesen großen, mussten wir sehen. Das ist das, mal da kommt. Hier, das ist eine kleine
Sleep and dream of this menorah. It says, and now we need a cloud pusher. We can take the little Voigthaler boy for that. For that we can take the Voigthaler. And then a little boy emerged, and that was Bert Voigthaler, who became my lifelong friend. The cloud pusher. Stood here. And they erected this monument to remind people of it, and his house and also his observatory was here. Later on we'll see the observatory of Copernicus.
Und die Schüler, das Denkmal nennen sie ganz schrecklich ein Affenkäfig, weil das wirklich ein Affenkäfig ist.
I remember.
60 Jahre. Das war völlig ausgebrannt, aber das zeugt
Now
nicht.
this here was a mill. Actually, this great building was a mill, and until the 60s, it was still operating.
Das war eine Mühle, eine große Mühle.
We have a picture of the mill
Yeah,
with a score.
Right. Kleine Mühle, the small mill. Große Mühle.
Das war eine Pulvermühle für Soldaten.
That was munitions, for munitions. Making powder for munitions.
Das ist das Haus der drei Predigerhaus. Diese Kirche war von 3 Religionen benutzt. Von der protestantischen, lutheranische, Katholik und Calvini. Die 3.
Bert Voigthaler's family lived in an apartment, and
Did you used to walk from your apartment over to his?
sure. I mean, nobody. For sure, I walked to school too.
No, I know. I don't mean that you walked.
Of course, of course, sure. His grandmother made the best challah and the best cookies.
Okay.
This is the Holzmarkt. I mean, apparently at one time there was dealing in lumber here, and there was a monument erected in honor of Kaiser Wilhelm I, who was founded the German Empire. And when we made an appointment, we would say we would meet under the tail of the horse of this particular monument. The Russians replaced, of course, Kaiser Wilhelm and replaced him with somebody who had helped to drive the trip. So where's das Denkmal?
Das Denkmal steht da, also in den Bäumen.
Ja.
Nur ein Stück hier die Mauern, wie die Mauern so laufen, nicht?
Ja.
Die 20 sind originell. Das ist das Theater.
The house, the theaters on the other side, where I saw everything. Everything that they had,
bei Vienna.
who defeated the Turks at Vienna.
Vienna.
Is that the word pray in English?
No.
Or what?
Where's
Of Danzig, you can still see the old city wall, and this is one of those areas where just a piece of the wall is still visible.
Heumarkt? He hated it. Ja, way up there. Das Tor ist noch da, das große das Tor am Heumarkt?
Das hohe Tor.
Ja, das hohe Tor,
Ich
ja.
wollte Ihnen von der Seite zeigen, dass also von hinten, also wenn die Touristen, also die noch nicht gesehen, die sollen diesen Blick von
Marie. The cobblestones, I don't know. They were replaced, they're replaced all the time. They never changed to real, to anything else on the surface. They were always replaced.
You remember this?
Oh, yeah. Which right now is the headquarters of the Academy of Art, and which is one of the most wonderful representations of Renaissance, and which was used as a mall, and is to this day still a mall. You have stores on the inside here. It's one of my first experience of a mall was not in the United States in recent years, but in Danzig here, as you will. Infantry. It was a guild of soldiers, a soldiers' guild. And there, their headquarters was the Schützenhaus.
Okay, the shooting.
Yeah, right.
And that's where they had the concerts?
No. That's totally different. Yeah. And they also had one machine, some machine for torture, which was called the Iron Virgin. You were put inside, and you were asked questions, and you didn't answer. It came closer and closer because there were nails. There were nails, and it came closer and closer and closer to your body until you confessed. Further down. Now, I want to tell you, very important, David. Listen to this. Where this gate is, this grey building.
Yeah.
This is where I encountered my first Nazi.
Really?
Who was selling newspapers, and we were gathering around him and making fun. This same first Nazi became the Gauleiter of Danzig later on.
What year was that when you
making fun
of
must have been 1930.
House of portraits he was talking about.
Soldiers, and the St. George with the standing on top of the dragon that he has slain. See it there? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Devil war das eigentlich nicht. Devil, der Drachen, ja, aber Devil.
Ein Drachen. But the dragon represented the devil. Huh?
You never came over here when you were here?
Who, here?
Yeah.
Of course. Never where Langgasse was the city hall with the Rathaus at the end of it. And patrician. Huh?
Synagogue war um die Ecke.
Yeah. Synagogue was further down. And here the typical patrician homes. Yeah.
Your street look. I mean, when you look down here, is this the way it looked for you?
Exactly.
No, I'm serious now.
Exactly. I mean,
This is it. This is what your street looked like.
No, my street, not
But this is what this street looked like.
Absolutely, exactly.
Ja, hier haben Sie der Sachen. Kommen wir rein.
Ja, Antiquitäten, ja. Mal sehen.
Original in Italian Renaissance art. You can actually see the pit marks from the shooting that went on here.
Krishna. Krishna. Hare Krishna. Made look old.
Like a maid look.
Yeah. The tower.
What is this now?
90 meters of St. Mary's. The Marienkirche, St. Mary's. And it took about 500 years to build it, I think. It took 500 years to build it. And they never finished it because, as you notice, there are no spirals. See it? The top has no spiral. They were supposed to be at one time, but they never...
1500, excuse me, a building built in 1500.
Let's go.
Here was a place for the Lord Mayor of Gdańsk, and the room was used during the summertime, then we called a summer room, but the winter room was in the back because it was necessary to heat the place. Because fire means life, and for the people in Gdańsk, life, it means
To jest Frauengasse, nie? To jest Frauengasse Mariacka?
That's what we just saw a little bit ago.
Wie vielleicht wird es wieder.
Hier war ganz bestimmt wieder. Die Ausstattung ist so prachtvoll und die mit der Kosten. Nein, wie
Here, let's go. Of Danzig, and you have here various figures, of which one happens to be Judas Maccabeus.
Really, which one?
I think number 2, if I'm not mistaken, is Judas Maccabeus. But I'm interested in telling you, as these lions, it was shortly after the inflation, and they had a lion costume, and they had a tail, and the end of the tail consisted of something like 4 million marks. All various notes, like these notes that we have now. I was reminded of it, and made a tremendous hit because of...
Da kann man vorgehen. Von der anderen Seite. Das aber sehr viele Treppen.
Hans and I were paddle boating, and I had to leave earlier because I had a tutoring lesson in mathematics, hopeless, but nonetheless. When I came to the house, my tutor was walking down the stairs and said there wouldn't be any lessons today. I asked why. He says, you'll find out. Came upstairs and I learned that...
Frauenstrasse. Considered the first street.
Scattered. Faster than when we were at the Ponte Vecchio.
Hello, how are you? It's early morning in Sopot. I am standing on our balcony overlooking the Baltic Sea. What a sight. Path that runs all the way along the coast.
Ago, we just crossed the border between Danzig and Poland, which was the Menzelbach, and we would stand at the Menzelbach and spit across and say, now the spittle is Danzig, on the other side it will become Polish. And then you had to cross the border and pass customs, and the same thing on the way back. That you should take Marianne, here, this here, you know, this is known as the Steilküste. Here, Hochem. Here, this here.
The what?
The Steilküste.
Eagle's nest.
Yeah, they call it the Eagle's Nest, Eagle's Perch, and the coast, instead of being sandy like this, is mountainous, a mountainous coast, a cliff, in other words.
This point on?
It's called, this is one of the few cliffs. Yeah, 450.
550,000.
No, 450,000. I do not mind. For 450,000, and a village of about between 300 and 800 when they started.
Und bis 23, das war eine Fischerdorf.
Yeah, and it was about wie viele Leute haben da
Damals?
Ja, 300, 400?
Ja, so ungefähr. Bei gutem Wetter kann man ganz deutlich sehen die Halbinsel her.
What's that over there?
There's a peninsula, that you can see in good weather, on the other side of which you can also swim.
There we hiked approximately every other Sunday. Streetcar from the Bahnhof to Oliva, then from the end station about an hour's walk to the mountains, and then we hiked. And my father, who prided himself of having an excellent sense of direction, always wanted to go to Freudenthal, this place. There was a restaurant here. We never made it. And I just wanted to prove that the Kelters could reach Freudenthal for once in our lives. We met every other place in the mountains we got to, that we wanted to go to, except we always missed the turn-off to Freudenthal. And this was a very fine restaurant, and Fatih loved nice food and good drink and so on. Never made it. And I wanted to prove that we have made it, and so we are now in Freudenthal. It's no longer an operation, and interestingly enough, people do not do any hiking anymore.
Why?
It doesn't snow, but they do not do any hiking. You have the most wonderful trails here. And there's one trail that leads all the way from here to Sopot with trees cut out so that you can have views like pictures. That's called the picture trail. And all the way to Sopot. Absolutely magnificent. But people no longer do it.
But it's overgrown now.
Yeah. Now let me explain. I don't know if it's overgrown. It may not be actually. Let me explain why I would like us to be in the cathedral, only for the reason of the organ concert that I remember very fondly, and it's a magnificent organ. You will enjoy that. So we took his picture and put it on one place, and for once we got to Freudenthal. So this was one of the great family jokes. But look at these gorgeous forests here. Huh?
Talk to us about this cathedral.
What?
Talk to us about this cathedral.
I do not know much about it, I must tell you.
Talk to us about the concert.
Huh?
The concert.
What shall I tell you? I mean, we went to these concerts very often. They used to have chamber music concerts as well in this place. And it has something to do with the Peace of Oliva, which was a very, I think, a 30-year war, if I'm not mistaken. There was
now,
one
how
of
far away is this from your house?
Well, it meant going by streetcar to Oliva, which was about 45 minutes to an hour, then walk for about almost an hour to the forest, and then we started hiking. So it was a full day's affair.
So this is a whole day to go to the
right,
concert.
Right. No, not the organ concert. We wouldn't go when we went. We didn't go to the organ concert. I did this as a teenager, but when the family did it, we did.
and visited him in this house. We have parked very illegally. The man here is very unhappy with us. Look at how we've got our cars parked here. Suburb of Danzig called Langfur, and this is originally was the Orthodox synagogue, which was also under Volkswagen supervision. The Jewish population had moved out to this area, and therefore they put the synagogue here. It's now used as a music academy. Apartment buildings.
This is the Institute of Technology, the Technische Hochschule, where Franz Ollendorf was engaged as a docent in 1923, and students objected, anti-Semitic students objected to a Jew teaching them at that particular time already, 10 years before Hitler, and he was driven out, almost suffering a nervous breakdown. The only advantage that he had of being in Danzig was that he met my sister, and that eventually in 1925, I think they got married. Or 25, they got married.
So how long?
Huh?
Even back in the 20s.
That's right, and this, I mean, that was around the time of the Hitler putsch. 1923 was the beer hall putsch, you see. So between 1923 and 1925, there was a tremendous wave of anti-Semitism among the academics in particular, and my brother-in-law was literally hounded out of his position at that time.
How old was he at that time?
Well, we think that I was born in a hospital, and if I was born in a hospital, this is where I was born. Or as my dear, lovely sister says, this is where I was hatched.
Now, are we going to go in and see the prenatal ward? Or the...
This is actually a whole complex. There's further area back behind there where there are more rooms. This wonderful house right across the street from the hospital. Looks like it had to be an incredible mansion at one time. Hospital is back in this area. There's a big gate here, you can't go anywhere. This looks like it's new. Ferry going over to Stuttgart, one of the concentration camps that was for all nationalities. There were about 85,000 exterminated there. This ferry operates on a cable. You can see coming across there. Have stopped at the wonderful, famous Bernstein factory. This is where we're going to buy our amber. This is where our taxi driver took us to buy our amber. What does that tell you about our taxi driver? Okay, we are at Stutthof.
At the beginning, the house was the house of the commandant, but it lived there.
I'm confused. Where are we in? We are outside. No, I'm looking at the map. Show me on the map where we are.
We don't have a movie.
Right. Why don't you just read the sign and tell us what's going on?
Then wollen Sie. Dann müssen Sie ein bisschen warten.
He's going to tell you. Come in.
where the Germans attacked the Poles for the first time in the beginning of the war in September of 1939. This man in this house is a veteran of that particular time. The story goes that 178 Poles defended this area against thousands of Germans in the final battle, which lasted for 7 days. 7 Poles died and over 1,000 Germans died. To the graves, we're now being told it's 17 Poles, not 7. Little difference. Also, the ashes of the Major have been brought back here, and those are here too. By amphibious landing from the sea, coming into this area.
Uh, 240 Polish officer soldaten.
240 officers and soldiers of Poles.
No, it's a dry
240.
10 und 5 Polish Soldaten kaputt.
How many?
15.
15 killed.
Yes.
15 killed.
20 Soldaten verwundet.
And 20 were wounded.
Ja, schwer verwundet.
Very badly wounded.
10 Soldaten Polish leicht verwundet. Leicht.
And
So ein bisschen.
Das war Hochbricht. Ja, aber hat er aufgezogen.
Alright, this is the street that I lived on as a little child. All the houses that were along here are gone. You can see there's some steps there where there must have been a house.
Now we're on Mary Ann Street, and I'm following these 2 women. Stop. I'm following these 2 girls again. Stop, girls. Hello.
Hello.
Here we are in the Danzig on Kelterstrasse.
We're on the street.
With the 2 Kelters. So I pan the countryside.
Okay, turn it off.
You can take that in there.
Okay, do it now.
No, that's all.
I'll do it.
Oh, no. Perfect.
Yeah, I think so. If that is the Vorstädtischer Graben, then it is the Schule. Aha. Ja, dann ist es die Schule. Was sagt es hier? What does it say here?
Die Schule, das Lebensmittel und Chemische.
Huh?
Chemische. Von Chemie.
Ja, Bohemia. Und hier, was sagt es auf dieser Seite? Is that I was twice not promoted.
Really?
1 year for good reason, because I was sick for 12 weeks and couldn't catch up. 1 year for also good reason, because I was too active in my youth group and therefore couldn't make it. Lost my scholarship, lost my scholarship because that's why I became a rabbi. Lost my scholarship, which was tragic for my mother because we didn't have any money and the school had to be paid for. But I became a great youth leader, and so I finished school much later than other people. So this is the school, and until the last moment, I never thought that I would flunk, but I did.
You almost did.
Huh?
You almost flunked?
No, I flunked. I wasn't promoted. Meant I spent 2 extra years in the gymnasium than I had to.
You see the words on the top?
Yeah, but that is nothing. That wasn't there, I don't think. What is that? No incident. That is MD...
1937.
1937, you see.
What?
It doesn't look like the school I attended, but it has something to do with the fact that this place, you know, which was a little park, is totally changed here, you know.
The 30.
Was right in front. No. But it has a great deal to do with the surroundings, you know. And
Did you have those little spears and things on the building?
I do not recall that. I don't recall it. I also think the entrance was totally different.
The entrance may have been different.
Which was a real gymnasium and emphasis on science and modern languages in contradistinction to my school. And my school looked every bit as nice as this and not as dilapidated as the one we saw. But the location of the school is right. But this is the Petri Schule and this is the Hansaplatz, and Großmutti lived right around here. If I could only find it. Jesus.
When did she live here?
Before she was brought to the collection of all the old Jewish people in the Mausegasse. You know, another.
This is the monument to the Solidarity movement. This is right at the shipyards. And this is the plaza in which the rallies took place. And unfortunately, men were killed over the Solidarity movement.
Pretty in the morning, if you can believe this. And this is what we're awakened to.
Warsaw. And this is in front of the hotel where the rest of them are staying. Some sort of government building across. Funny looking hats they wear. Doesn't look real happy when you take the picture. This is the opera in Warsaw. The home of the mayor. He calls him the president of Warsaw.
Do they call him President Valenza? President Valenza lives in Belvedere. In Belvedere is Polish White House. Oh, okay. They came behind.
Jewish monument in Warsaw. Is shooting into the sun. I don't know if you can get this. Called the Umschlagplatz. And is a new monument. This was the gathering place of the area.
It was created in 1988.
Created in 1988. And what else? On the 45th anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. This is the original gate to the ghetto. Yes.
Political prisoners, opponents of the political system, were jailed at Paviak. These included communists and radical activists who accounted for the majority of political prisoners under the pre-war regime. The period of Nazi occupation during World War II was the shortest, but the most tragic in the history of Paviak prison. Brutal terror, public executions, forced resettlements, and strict roundups of civilians in retaliation for underground action were methods used by the Nazis, whose aim was biologically to exterminate the Polish people. Nearly 100,000 prisoners were held in Paviak prison during the war as a telling sign of the scope of Nazi terror.
Especially the ghetto. Only 15% is
resisted in Warsaw Ghetto.
There really isn't anything to show.
And then this is just behind it, in a little gated area. Into the heroes. The man in the middle with the wounded head and the wounded arm is still carrying a weapon in his other hand, indicating that he'll continue to fight as long as he is at all able. The ones on the bottom are the ones who commemorate those who have been defeated, and at the top then commemorating going to a better life. This is an entire plaza where this monument stands, surrounded by the ugly Eastern European houses that have been built since then. Why would people make noise in your hotel? Copenhagen. This is the train station. Just walking past it. We're on our way to take a tour. We're going down this street to this building here is called the Scala, which has a lot of different little restaurants. We, on the other hand, ate out here where there were chairs and tables. There aren't right now, but there were. There's a neat building behind here as well. So we can get a shot of that. This is the town square. And the Burgermeister's house, the Rat's house. Pretty square. All cobblestones. No, it's not. I lied. It's not cobblestone.
Smart kid, too. Better than a three-point average. Some of the local recruits going on to play college ball right now. Chris Asbrock, the tight end from Moeller, goes to Ball State. Josh Jewett, the offensive lineman from Sycamore, is signed with Indiana. Channel 5 All-Star member Mike Dooley, offensive lineman from Hamilton, he'll play at Ohio State. Johnny Mattress, the quarterback from Princeton, will play at Ohio State. They were down here in full force. Sonny Miller, the linebacker from Highlands, Ball State is where Sonny is going. Well, they are the winners. The loser today, Randy Myers. He is the guy the Reds got from the Mets in the John Franco trade. Today, Randy Myers lost his arbitration. He wanted $1.1 million. Reds offered $875. Arbitrator decided $875 is what you'll make.
Oh, he's only going to make $875.
Well, life's tough.
I like that bit about signing on television.
That's right. That's great. Yeah. And his mom, too.
That's
yes.
great.
Jerry's commentary is next. Stay with us.
This is a sophisticated instrument, a nasal spray designed to gently relieve your stuffy nose and let you breathe freer for up to 12 hours. Nostrilla. It's a specially designed metered pump that releases a soft, penetrating, measured mist every time to give soothing relief fast and let you breathe freer for up to 12 hours. Gentle Nostrilla. Ah, relief.
Hello, I'm Jeff Weiler, speaking for Jeff Weiler Nissan on Route 32. And how would you like to buy a new Nissan pickup truck and then get $1,200 cash in the mail directly from Nissan? Here's how it works. $179 down, $179 a month, and you own a brand new Nissan pickup truck. Then Nissan mails to you $1,200 to pay off your Christmas bills or whatever you want. Remember, $179 down, $179 a month, and get $1,200 cash to do with what you want. Only one place, Jeff Weiler Nissan, Route 32, cheaper in the country.
Get an instant rebate off the low price of every synthetic-filled pillow in stock. Wednesday and Thursday at McAlpin's.
For some people, Paul McCartney's concert Monday night is already fading into the background. For others, it only raises an old question. Who's the best rock and roller of all time? Jerry's been thinking about that one, and it's the subject of his commentary tonight. Jerry?
Thanks, Noah. The arguments continue well past their importance, but we persist because this is personal. Rock and roll's greatest performer will wear no crown, of course, for there's no championship to be fought over by contemporaries, no relevant statistics to be measured in terms of comparisons with past greats. Indeed, the title of rock's greatest is held only in our individual minds. And yet we argue intensely because it's our own history we're talking about. You see, whomever you think's the greatest, the chances are it's someone whose prime coincides with our youth. I suspect it's because our teens and young adult years are clearly when pop music is most significant to us. And maybe that's because that's when we're falling in love, or trying to, or dealing most vigorously with personal relationships. And the radio, or today MTV and CDs and tapes, become the background music to life. Indeed, for most Americans, their favorite performer probably is someone who was big in their senior year in high school. And yes, there must be exceptions, because I'm not willing to say Bobby Vinton singing Roses Are Red was the best ever. But generally, it's no accident that those who think Sinatra's the king are kind of older, and those who swear that Elvis still lives probably were teens in the 50s. And if it's Springsteen or Michael Jackson that gets the nod, we're looking at the class of the late 70s or early 80s. But let me settle the uncertainty with the same lack of objectivity I normally reserve for these commentaries by suggesting that the man who graced the stage of the Coliseum Monday night was part of the creative genius that made up the greatest musical group of this century, the greatest rock group of all time, the Beatles. Their music changed the industry, changed rock and roll, indeed changed Western culture in terms of style, attitudes, and the politics of youth. In 100 years from now, their music will still be played even by symphony orchestras who are already playing it. There have been better musicians, better singers, better writers, but nobody could do it all with such impact while leaving a mark of such longevity. There'll be no reunion tours, of course, or crazed assassins or to that. But those of us old enough to remember can never forget that where music has always been the language of the generation, the Beatles were the one group that created and shaped a generation, which is why no concert ever sold out faster, and why when Paul McCartney sang Yesterday, we knew it was forever.
The Cincinnati Laser Center at Deaconess on waiting. Waiting for someone to come home from the hospital can seem like an eternity. But lasers can make surgery easier and recovery faster with less chance of infection. Call the Cincinnati Laser Center at 1-800-553-8333. Call for our free brochure and to arrange a consultation, because when you're recovering, there's no place like home. The Cincinnati Laser Center at Deaconess Hospital.
Clint Eastwood is a fugitive hunter. Bernadette Peters is Clint's biggest trouble. And the Birthright gang has a score to settle.
Yeah! It's a contact sport!
Clint Eastwood, Bernadette Peters.
The room
Pink Cadillac, rated PG-13.
Tonight at 6:30 on Warner Home Theater.
In the blue jeans business, it's the bottom line that counts. Did one of these companies have the IRS in their pocket? An Inside Edition investigation. Plus, our exclusive Gallup survey with Psychology Today reveals the secrets to keeping passion in your marriage.
Inside Edition at 7, and then...
A Valentine's Day murder. Did the killer answer this lonely heart's ad? Join the investigation on Hard Copy.
Inside Edition at 7, hard copy at 7:30, only on Channel 5.
Coming up at 11 on News 5 tonight, Teresa's graveyard in town is so unkempt, graves are actually splitting open. Neighbors complain. It is a spooky sight. That's all our time for now. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
NBC Nightly News is next. We'll be back at 11. Until then, take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
Good night.
Tri-State Blitz is on. 5 days, over 4,500 cars and trucks to choose from. Now through Saturday, your local Tri-State Chevy Geo dealers will make this week the biggest savings event of the year. With factory cash back of $1,200 on Corsica and Beretta, $1,000 on Lumina and S10 pickup, $500 on Cavalier, plus extra dealer discounts that will heat up this 5-day savings event. Hurry, it all ends Saturday at your local Tri-State Chevy Geo dealers.
Once a year, America's top carpet makers come to McSwain with a show, but it's more like a showdown of their newest styles, their hottest colors, at their lowest prices. Presenting McSwain's annual low-price carpet showdown. This year featuring worry-free carpets from Evans Black, the stain-resistant carpets that are totally worry-free. Come save at this show and sale in one. The low-price carpet showdown, right now at McSwain.
This year, Longhorn Rodeo salutes American Indians with our most colorful rodeo opening ever. Later, you'll thrill to the beat of the tom-tom as Native Americans dance a war dance, eagle dance, and hoop dance. It's Pro Rodeo as North America's best cowboys and cowgirls compete in the Cincinnati Gardens, February 23rd through 25th. Friday is bargain night, all seats just $8. Saturday, free simulated eagle feather, first 500 kids. Sunday, kids and seniors half price at IGA Family Day. Order tickets by phone, call the Gardens.
First thing you got to learn about being Italian is the use of the hands. Gabish?
Brought to you by Tony's Frozen Pizza.
A real slice of Italian life.
Colombia's drug lords surrender 3 big cocaine labs as the U.S. takes to the air in the drug war.
The struggle is directed solely against government policy.
Nelson Mandela talks about South Africa's future in an interview with Tom Brokaw. And new Soviet unrest brings an angry warning from Gorbachev.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening, I'm Jane Pauley. Tom Brokaw is in South Africa. We'll hear from him shortly. But first, a struggle closer to home, the drug war. Early tomorrow morning, that war will take President Bush to Colombia for a much-anticipated drug summit with the president of that country, as well as those of Bolivia and Peru. And on the eve of Bush's visit...
Face-to-face chat with every customer we have.
But Ben, that's got to be over 200 cities.
I don't care. Thanks.
If you're the kind of business that still believes personal service deserves a lot more than lip service, welcome to United.
Lewis.
That's the way we've been doing business for over 60 years.
Ben, where are you going? To visit that old friend who fired us this morning.
United. Come fly the friendly skies.
The real winners on the PGA Tour are not the players. They're the people helped by every PGA Tour tournament. With your support, local charities received nearly $20 million in 1989. The PGA Tour, where anything's possible.
It's wet in La Jolla, but no rain on Dan Forsman's parade. He's our winner. Let's go downstairs. He's with Joel Myers.
Okay, thank you, Bryant. Our winner, Dan Forsman. First of all, congratulations. Took a week off last week as we're joined by Joe Plumeri, Vice President of Shearson Lehman Hutton as well. Took a week off, and went to your teacher, Lee Martin. Obviously, it really paid off.
It really did. I'm humble gratitude to Lee Martin right now. Lee, thanks. Hope you're listening, and I can't thank you enough for your time and your expertise. It meant the world to me. It gave me some confidence that I was lacking after my last couple of outings, and fortunately, the last couple, 4 days, I was able to keep it going and hit some good shots under the pressure, and I really appreciate it, and it means the world. Thank you.
You told us yesterday you just needed to get off to a good start today, and you had a great start on the front nine.
Well, I did. I hit the ball solidly, and that gave me a lot of confidence, and I didn't make any putts early, which I thought, would really be crucial. I needed to make some putts, but fortunately, down the stretch, I made more than my share, particularly those big par-saving putts, and it's been a great week. I want to thank the Century Club and Shearson Lehman Hutton for all they've done to run just a fantastic event. It's just a thrill to be their champion.
And Joe Plumeri, not La Jolla-like weather, but a great tournament.
Well, I think one of the things that's nice about this tournament, Dan, and this win, is that you won it in less than ideal conditions. And the next thing that's nice about it is that when you get a check for $162,000, it's certainly a family check. So from Shearson Lehman Hutton, congratulations to you. It's terrific.
Thank you.
You too, Ricky.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations to the entire Forsman family. Let's go back to Brian Cumberland.
Okay, Joel, thanks very much. You said when we came on, John, that Parr might get it done. Nobody came to get him, and he really wanted it.
He did what he had to do, and it's a great win. Any win nowadays is a great win. He wanted it. He's 31 years old. He wants to establish himself as a multi-winner on tour. And my congratulations to Dan.
He was patient, and he comes away with $162,000. For all of us who are out in front and all the good folks who make it possible behind the scenes, we thank you very much for being with us. Dan Forsman's our winner. So long from La Jolla.
The preceding has been a presentation of NBC Sports.
An NBC Sunday double feature. First, a band of misfit kids take you on an incredible treasure hunt. It's Steven Spielberg's The Goonies. Then, for 12 years, he's lost the battle with the beast within him.
I want to destroy it and be human again.
Now, the living legend ends with a historical world premiere, The Death of the Incredible Hulk, following Goonies on NBC Double Feature Sunday.
This is News 5 with Lauren Chesley, Clyde Gray, George Zabrecki's weather, and George Vogel with sports.
Good evening. There is a new question being raised tonight about a brutal Valentine's Day murder in Fairfield. Was jealousy involved?
A friend of the man accused of murder in the case tells us exclusively Ray Tanner was upset at not being sure of his wife's whereabouts the Saturday before the killing.
This is the Ray Tanner we've all come to know. The Ray Tanner who had to be carried into court on Friday. The confused Ray Tanner. The Ray Tanner police had to physically restrain.
I want to see a lawyer.
Mr. Tanner, let me explain to you. Mr. Tanner?
I do not accept that.
Tanner is accused of killing his 21-year-old wife Maria on Valentine's Day by cutting off her head. That, too, is the Ray Tanner we've come to know. But Bobby Faulkner knew a different man.
And he changed me a lot because he used to tell me the value of money, good and bad, give me good morals and stuff like that.
Faulkner worked for 2 years at this Fairfield restaurant along with Tanner, who was a meat cutter, and 2 of Tanner's brothers. He knew Ray and Maria, occasionally visiting them in their home. He said they were a good couple, but there were strains. Faulkner said Ray was concerned Maria was being unfaithful.
He believed that because he said a lot of things led up to him believing that. I don't know what led up to it, but he said there was a lot of things involved that I don't know.
Faulkner says Tanner internalized those suspicions as well as his grief over the recent death of his baby girl from sudden infant death syndrome. Faulkner believes that took its toll on his friend.
He kept everything inside, and I feel like that morning when that happened, Valentine's Day, everything he's kept inside came out that day and just totally, he snapped.
To what extent Ray Tanner snapped, if at all, is being evaluated by psychiatrists at a Dayton hospital where Tanner was taken Friday. He's scheduled to be back in Fairfield Municipal Court this coming Friday.
Other news now. Cincinnati's battle over abortion is going through a changing of the guard tonight. A reception at the Elizabeth Campbell Center introduced the new executive director for Planned Parenthood, Barbara Rinto. What makes this so noteworthy is there hasn't been a change at the top in nearly a quarter of a century. News 5's Curtis Fuller has this profile on the person who has headed up Planned Parenthood for more than 2 decades now, and the woman who will have the tough job of filling her shoes.
Ann Mitchell is no stranger to controversy. She's led the fight for Planned Parenthood here in Cincinnati for 2 decades, but now she's saying goodbye.
I think we were right on the money to fight, to protect a value that we feel very important to Cincinnati, and that is keeping our services going.
The abortion issue is no doubt one of the most emotional debates in this country. Mitchell says she'll continue to be involved in the battle, but says her retirement will now allow her to devote her time to other important issues, such as working with children.
For me, it's kind of opening a door. I mean, I feel as though I'm now released a little bit.
Now that Ann Mitchell is stepping down from her post after serving for 22 years, the folks at Planned Parenthood had to find someone to fill those big shoes. And they searched high and low and came up with someone from out east who knows Ohio. Barbara Rento, originally from the Cleveland area and most recently from Philadelphia, will now take over.
My style is not confrontational. I would much prefer to collaborate, to dialogue, to find common ground, as Jesse Jackson says.
As far as filling the shoes of her friend and predecessor?
And I have great respect for her and for her commitment to Planned Parenthood and to the community of Cincinnati.
Rento says she knows Mitchell's work will serve as an inspiration for her. Curtis Fuller, News 5.
The Cincinnati organization is one of the first Planned Parenthood groups in the country.
Well, international news now. The controversy is still brewing in Iran tonight over Salman Rushdie's book, The Satanic Verses. The demonstrations have not changed their tone any. Today, Iranians are still calling for the killing of Rushdie. We remember when the book first came out last year, Ayatollah Khomeini put a huge bounty on Rushdie's head, and that sent Rushdie into hiding. The author has surfaced recently as a freelance writer in several British newspapers.
In Hagerstown, Maryland, 3 people are dead tonight, killed when an explosion ripped through a motel. It happened early this morning at the Super 8 motel about 65 miles from Baltimore. The explosion was so powerful, the whole front of the building was blown out. Right now, it's believed that the explosion was caused by a gas leak and not a bomb. At least 10 other people were also hurt in this blast.
Well, coming next on News 5, some local folks are volunteering to sleep in the streets to help the homeless who have no choice.
Plus, it's baby mania in this Claremont County home, making way for quadruplets. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For years, this marathon station has been a part of this community. And to Mary Stewart, the people who come here aren't just her customers, they're her friends. Today, many oil companies have foreign ownership, but Marathon is 100% American-owned and operated. That's important to people like Frank and Mary Stewart because they know the people they've got to please aren't overseas. They're right in their own hometown. Marathon, an American company serving America.
At Hardee's, breakfast can be as simple as a fresh from scratch sausage and egg biscuit or as hearty as a whole big country breakfast platter. But don't forget one thing, your appetite.
Hardee's introduces pancakes you'll flip over. Our new buttermilk pancakes are so light, so fluffy, they'll stack up real high with your whole family.
Kaywood Ledford here with the star of today's game, the John Deere 2355. This 55 horsepower tractor is a tough, versatile workhorse. The 2355 tractor can play the field or handle the big loads and has plenty of lugging power. And you can add mechanical front-wheel drive for extra traction. Oh yeah, John Deere tractors are winners. See your Kentucky John Deere dealer today.
Dreamland Waterbeds is having a sale on the prettiest beds in town. You'll save $500 on the finest in oak contemporary bedrooms by Arbeck. You'll save 20% on traditional 18th century and country pine bedroom sets from Lee Industries. And at Dreamland Waterbeds, we have 6 waterbeds on sale now, under $199. Dreamland has Morgan soft-sided waterbeds, tube beds, spring air innerspring mattresses, day beds, and kids beds. We've got them all at Dreamland, the prettiest beds in town.
A Claremont County couple is cherishing a miracle tonight. In fact, it's really 4 miracles. You might recall on Christmas Day, Paulette and Rick Blyberg became the proud parents of quadruplets, 4 boys. They're only the second set of quads born in the Cincinnati area in just the last 25 years. Well, today we caught up with the
Jackie Gleason.
Birth to these tiny, precious little baby boys on Christmas Day. Derek, Zachary, Bradley, and Kyle weighed only about 2 pounds each. They were born 12 weeks premature. Finally came on Thursday, when 2 of the quads were allowed to come home from the hospital.
Since they've been home.
If it's your stuff, you can sell whatever you want to sell. You're in the game because you love the game, not because you love the trinkets you're going to get for playing it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, first let me start by saying...
Thank you. Where'd you park our limousine next?
First, I want to start by saying that I think you're wonderful for the sport of baseball, but the problem that I'm finding is that if you are addicted to gambling, I find it hard to believe that you're not going to gamble on what you know best, which is the sport of baseball.
Well, that's yeah. Phil, can I answer?
Sure, you can. By all means, this is America. You're allowed to speak.
That's a good point. I understand her point, but I tried to explain before that my disorders are a little different. When I played for Philadelphia the last 3 years, I lived 40 minutes from Atlantic City. I went there 3 times in 3 years, 2 times for an appearance, and once the opening night at the Bunny Club because my wife worked there. I can ask you the same question. Why didn't I patronize the dice tables or the blackjack tables or the baccarat tables? That wasn't my bag. Wasn't my gig. I didn't do that.
You know that does not mean, therefore, you're not an addictive gambler.
Well, I know that I can curtail my gambling. She's insinuating because I bet on football that I'm going to bet on baseball because I know most about baseball.
Yeah.
I have too much love and respect for the game of baseball.
I just have a problem.
She's just acknowledging that she has a problem. Well, very good.
We'll take care of that problem after the show, honey.
Yes, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Dreamland Waterbeds is having a sale on the prettiest beds in town. You'll save $500 on the finest in oak contemporary bedrooms by Arbeck. You'll save 20% on traditional 18th century and country pine bedroom sets from Lee Industries. And at Dreamland Waterbeds, we have 6 waterbeds on sale now, under $199. Dreamland has Morgan soft-sided waterbeds, tube beds, spring air innerspring mattresses, day beds, and kids beds. We've got them all at Dreamland, the prettiest beds in town.
You do the best you can do. Hard work and dreams come true.
It's here. It's your Tri-State Quality Ford Dealers Truck Month Leadership Celebration. You've waited all year, and now it's time to buy a Ford truck. Get special financing or up to $1,000 cash back on a new Ford Ranger. Plus, get great deals on every Ford truck in stock. It only comes once a year. Truck Month. Now it's your Tri-State Quality Ford Dealers.
At first, they seemed harmless enough. And then there was no stopping them. Circulars. For years, they were the only way to find the lowest prices. Then Biggs came along. Biggs has everyday true minimum prices that are so low, you won't need to hunt for sale prices in all those circulars. So get rid of them, because once you shop Biggs, you'll know that circulars are for the birds.
Hardee's presents the Great Hamburger Cover-Up. Now, for a limited time, only our quarter-pound hamburgers come with special toppings. Pizza, pizzazz. Tantalizing. Taco. Bacon. And Swiss sensation. Get in on the Great Hamburger Cover-Up. Only at Hardee's and only for a limited time.
I agree with what Pete said about not dragging it on to the Supreme Court, because why drag it on? Why keep your family into it? It just hurts the family.
I am pleased to welcome Mrs. Pete Rose, otherwise known as Carol. Mother of a 2-month-old baby. You look wonderful, and we're pleased that you join us, and you are standing by your man. That better be true.
Of course.
Of course.
Well, this is quite a tornado you walked in.
Right now.
Huh? She's sitting by you, yes. Is there anything you'd like to add? You've been watching this. You're proud of your husband.
Of course I am. He's gone through a whole lot, and I think it's really unfair what he had to go through with all the lies that were said, things that we had to listen to, our friends.
Let me just try and give him an opportunity, and you certainly may jump in. Your second child, Fawn, Petey's little sister, said when she was 10, I think.
She's my first child.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fawn is older than Petey.
She's 23 today.
I remember her like this, so I'm getting Alzheimer's. So what else is new?
She made a headline. She made the USA Today headlines back in spring training.
My father is lousy father.
Worst father in the world.
Worst father in the world. She was how old at the time?
When she made that quote?
Yeah.
She was 10. No, honestly, she was 10, and I just went through a divorce, and in her eyes, and probably I was the worst father in the world in her eyes. And it's kind of strange that her being 23 now, she's quoted. They used that quote 13 years later. The same quote from my son Pete. I know I'm not the only celebrity here, but we in the celebrity business have a hard time with our phone numbers, and we change them a lot, especially me in Cincinnati. That's my hometown. And there's been many times in the past when my son couldn't get a hold of me unless he called my attorney, because my attorney's always got my phone number. And the guy who wrote that article for, was it GQ? Pat Jordan, he couldn't quite understand why Pete wasn't always giving my phone number. And another thing you have to realize, when I got divorced, I had to get a court order in 1980 to take Pete to the World Series in Kansas City when I was with the Phillies. So I tried to eliminate a lot of battles when I called to talk to my kids with my first wife. And that's a reason why I changed my number.
And you flew her to her graduation, did you not, from college?
My daughter graduated from school this year, from college. First member of my family to do so. I almost bought one time, but I never graduated from college. And that was one of the proudest days of my life.
Let me get this caller. I've got a break. I'm sorry. We're backed up against it, and we're upset because we haven't taken enough calls, which we'll try to remedy. And this audience wants...
I got a son 5 and a daughter 2 months, too.
Yes, you better get that in, and you're a smart father for doing so. You can now go home. We'll be back in just a moment.
The sun's in my heart, and I'm ready for love. Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face. I walk down the lane with a happy refrain, just singing in the rain, dancing in the rain. I'm happy again. I'm singing and dancing in singing in the rain.
It's locked. Y'all going that way and we go this way. Let's go.
Even relatives and friends joined the search. 22-month-old Brandon was last seen sleeping in his bed. That was 8 o'clock yesterday morning. You can only imagine the emotion of his family and friends as the hours pass.
It's anger, it's sadness, and people feeling helpless because it's like he's vanished, you know.
In addition to the search of neighborhoods, the SWAT team was called in to comb a large wooded area behind Swab Middle School.
We're not assuming anything right now. We're just checking to make sure the child may not be laying somewhere injured. There's nothing that we're not counting out at this point.
You know, in cases like these, oftentimes a person might see something, and at the time you say, well, you don't think that's anything important, but police want to hear from you if you saw anything. Police want to hear any bit of information, and you can give District 5 Police a call at this number, 352-3578. Again, that number is 352-3578. Now, police have not ruled out foul play, and coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll let you know what, if any, leads they've come up with so far. Back to you, Norma and Jerry.
All right, thanks a lot, Curtis. Of course, we all hope little Brandon is going to be found alive. And as Curtis mentioned, we'll update the story at 6 o'clock. Jerry?
A young mother and her children are dead tonight after a fire swept through their mobile home early this morning in Dillsboro, Indiana. Investigators tell us the fire was accidental and started in a trash can. News 5's Eileen Houston reports tonight that firefighters did all they could to save the family.
This is all that is left of the place Patricia Price called home. 2 weeks ago, Price, her boyfriend Richard Root, and her 4 children moved into this mobile home park. Early this morning, the trailer went up in flames. Price and 2 of her children, Charles, age 6, and 4-year-old Mary, died in the fire. Root and the 2 other children escaped, thanks to the help from neighbors. The screams of small children prompted 2 neighbors to try to get in a back door and pry it open in order to force their way inside. The fire chief says that they're the real heroes because those people risked their lives to save others.
Just trying to help the people out if we could, you know, get the people out that we could.
Were you worried about your life?
No, I was worried about kids.
Fire Chief Bob Heitmeyer tells me 21 firefighters, all volunteers, responded to the scene, but the flames moved too quickly.
When they called us, it took us approximately 7 minutes to get to the scene, and by that time it was fully engulfed.
Even though the family had lived in the area only a short time, neighbors say they are shocked that something so tragic could happen so close. In Dillsboro, Indiana, Eileen Houston, News 5.
Richard Root and the 2 surviving children were taken to Dearborn County Hospital. Earlier today, they were treated and released.
10 people are dead tonight in Clewiston, Florida, after a van they were riding in crashed, then slid into a canal. The van was loaded with Mexican migrant workers. Only 2 got out of the sinking van alive. Police say heavy fog probably caused the van to drive off the road and crash. The driver came to a curve, apparently did not see it, and slipped into the canal. A 13-year-old California boy is fearing for his life tonight, 7 years after his father tried to murder him by setting his bed on fire. David Rothenberg was burned over 90% of his body and is now permanently disfigured. His father, Charles, is getting out of prison, and David is afraid he'll come back and try to kill him again. David's stepfather says the family is taking precautions to make sure that will not happen.
We have worked out security measures, and we have worked with the parole people to be part of an early warning system if he is not where he's supposed to be.
Back in 1983, Charles Rothenberg dumped kerosene on his son and then set him on fire because he says he did not want his wife to win custody. Rothenberg was released from prison today and will be living in an undisclosed California area. He will be under heavy supervision throughout the parole period to make sure he stays away from his son.
Well, it's the end of an era tonight for one of Cincinnati's most prominent politicians. Congressman Tom Luken says he will not seek re-election this fall, ending 16 straight years of service. The 65-year-old Democrat represented the 1st District of Ohio for 8 terms. Right now, he's chairman of the Subcommittee on Transportation and Hazardous Materials, and he's also active in helping the elderly on the Select Committee on Aging. Luken started his political career here in Cincinnati, where he served on city council, then as mayor, and also as U.S. Attorney for Southern Ohio. Congressman Luken joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Tom,
Hi, Jerry.
how are you?
You know how I feel.
I can't imagine.
You of all people know how I feel.
Why, Tom, it is a shocking bit of news. Why now?
Well, Jerry, a few months back, I stepped back and I looked at the situation. I said, I want to change careers. I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I want to change. I'm still in love with the elective office. You know that I am. You never get over that. I have a great gratitude and love for the people of the 1st District who have been so kind to me. But I just want to do something different. I don't want to follow somebody else's schedule. I want to follow my own. I intend to continue to work. I'm not sure at what, but I'll be doing my own schedule on my own thing.
Is politics out? I mean, when you say politics is definitely out.
Elective office is out.
What conversations that you can share with us have you had with your son Charlie, the mayor of Cincinnati?
Well, I can't share any conversation with you. I was surprised to read in the paper that he says he's going to run. He hasn't told me flat out he's going to run. As a matter of fact, Jerry, when I decided this, it was several weeks before I communicated to anybody but my wife, and that includes Charlie. So as usual, he's doing his own things. You know, he hasn't done anything that I've told him to do for quite a while.
Well, Tom, I know I speak for...
I hope that he does run. I think that it would be perhaps a logical thing for him to do, but that's up to him. As you know, coming here to Washington, keeping up 2 homes and the problems, and part of the reason that I'm leaving, but mostly I'm leaving. I'm not running again because I want to do something different, and I've done the same thing for too long. And as I think I mentioned, we've got a legislative schedule in my committee for the next 9 months. So really, the crying that I'll do over it will really start about in November, because we're going to be too busy between now and then.
Okay, well, Tom, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Jerry.
Congratulations to you. And I'm sure a lot of people cannot remember the day that Tom Luken was not serving in political office here in Cincinnati. Now, Charlie Luken is expected to officially announce his intentions to run for his father's seat tomorrow. But News 5's Steve Forrest caught up with Charlie this afternoon and is working on that story for you coming up at 6 o'clock. Noah?
Cincinnati Archbishop Daniel Pilarczyk may soon be Detroit Archbishop Pilarczyk. Detroit's Archbishop is leaving for a job at the Vatican, and Pilarczyk is one of 3 bishops who could be named to that post. Pope John Paul II will have the final say on the matter. No word yet on when a decision might come down on that.
Big names in the news, moving on, doing other things.
Right.
Yeah. We're staying right here, though. Still ahead, the dramatic rescue of a dog from icy waters.
And the mother of a woman found dead in Indiana talks about the painful loss of her daughter for the first time. We'll be right back.
This piece is dedicated to the Cincinnati Enquirer.
We put the whole week's news in your hands. We put the arts and leisure in your hands. We put the fun and games in your hands. We put the whole world in your hands. Ooh. We put big business in your hands. We put friends and neighbors in your hands. We put the TV programs in your hands. We put the whole world in your hands.
Call for home delivery.
Mom always said, eat right and you'll grow up big and strong. So I eat JTM beef or pork barbecue. The 1-pound chub or the 3-pound tub makes it quick and easy to fix. And nothing tastes better on a cold day than a hot JTM barbecue sandwich. You can see what it's done for me. Us. Well, I'm faster than he is.
It's the quickest, great taste you'll ever love. JTM!
Look for JTM kettle cooked products at your favorite grocery store.
Introducing Tamsui Restaurant, a brand new fine dining place. Please join us for lunch and dinner. Select from our steak, seafood, and authentic Chinese cuisine. We feature lovely Chinese folk dancing and beautiful banquet facilities. We are only 3 miles west of Covington on the river. Tamsui, a new, unique dining experience.
It looks like Joe DeCourcy's blood alcohol tests are going to be turned over to a Campbell County grand jury. That's the ruling today from the Ohio District Court of Appeals. Attorneys for Hamilton County Commissioner Joe DeCourcy were trying to keep DeCourcy's alcohol level under wraps. You'll remember DeCourcy was critically hurt last month when he was driving the wrong way on I-275 and slammed head-on into another car. The man he hit, Larry Money, is in fair condition at St. Luke's Hospital. The Ohio court's ruling today says that University Hospital must turn over DeCourcy's blood alcohol tests tomorrow.
The mother of a Price Hill woman found dead 2 days ago in a shallow grave in Indiana is speaking out tonight for the first time. Dolores Florimonte is talking about the daughter she misses and the shocking way she died. Angela Johnson died of a sharp blow to the head. Her husband is charged with the killing. Angie disappeared the day after Christmas. A frantic search for her ended Monday when her family got the horrible news.
Really, all I knew the last time I talked to her at work, she said, "Tell Daddy doesn't have to pick me up. Dan's picking me up and we're going to look at the car." And that was the last word she said to me.
28-year-old Angela Florimonte Johnson never made it to see that car. Police say her estranged husband, 28-year-old Daniel Johnson, picked her up from work, then killed her a short time later.
I can honestly say that the times I allowed myself to think that she might be dead, I just connected it with him. He was quiet, Dan, a little evasive at times, but basically I felt he cared about children, and we were under the impression that they were talking about going back together.
But instead, Daniel Johnson is facing manslaughter charges, and Angie's parents are fighting to get custody of their daughter's 3 kids. The Florimonte family is also dealing with the loss of their only daughter.
Even when we were making posters, flyers to hang on poles, somebody said we're out of staples, and I think, oh, I'll just call her at work, she'll bring it home. And I thought, oh my God, you know.
Well, funeral arrangements are still being made for Angela Johnson. A fund has been set up for her 3 small children. You can send donations to the Johnson Children Fund, Resurrection Church, in care of Father Raymond Kammerer, 1744 Iliff Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45205.
Sad story.
Yes.
Still ahead, a look at today's weather.
And meteorologist Joe Lazura and Chris Wright will tell us just how long this kind of weather will last. Stay with us.
Visit All About Sports and stay fit with Marcy's EM1 Fast Track Deluxe in-home fitness system and save $150. Burn added holiday pounds with ProForm's walking treadmill with electronic console monitors. Or save $20 on the ProForm multi-purpose incline-decline weight bench, complete with leg and arm curl. All About Sports!
If you've been waiting for expensive designer carpet to go on sale, here's your chance to save. Tim Hogan is discounting Mohawk Heavyweight Designer Stainmaster Carpet. The price, half price, plus no charge for installation, and pay nothing until next August. So kick off the 90s with Tim Hogan's Carpet Outlet and famous Mohawk Mills Heavy Designer Stainmaster Carpet. Half off now.
Tim Hogan's the way. Today's the day. Tim Hogan's the way to buy carpet.
Your Dodge dealer announces an automotive first, the guaranteed rebate. If these rebates go up this model year, we'll pay you the difference on Dodge's best, like $1,000 on Caravans, up to $1,500 on Dakotas, up to $1,500 on Daytonas, and up to $2,000 on full-size pickups. That's the guaranteed rebate, only from your Dodge dealer. Nobody can match us. Not Ford, not Chevy, nobody.
See one of your tri-state Dodge dealers today.
This is a briefcase, a place to shelter valuable ideas, a guardian for work in progress. But now it's something more. Now it's a lunch bag. Because now there's Top Shelf from Hormel. Top Shelf microwaves in 2 minutes, but tastes like you might have made it from scratch. And since it requires no refrigeration, you can pack it in a briefcase, and lunch, as they say, is in the bag. Top Shelf from Hormel.
The Firestone Supreme High Crank Battery, because it's better to give than to receive. Available now at Firestone Mastercare Service Centers.
I understand we have some rain on the way, huh?
Yeah, it was a pretty nice day today, so you know we got to pay for it sooner or later.
Well, I've always wondered why we have to pay for it sooner or later, but I guess we'll talk about that some other day.
You know, weather's not free. No.
It was nice today.
Very nice. Sunshine and warm temperatures. We made it up into the 50s, almost near 60 degrees, but that's going to change. And for tomorrow's weather, a much different story.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. That's a big uh-oh. All righty. There's some rainfall on the way to the tri-state. A big storm system is dumping rain down in Texas, Louisiana. In fact, parts of northern Mississippi and northern Alabama have already received a couple of inches of rainfall, and that storm system is headed our way. Let's check in with the News 5 weather watchers. They were still reporting some very mild readings. 54 degrees right now at Finneytown and at Mount Washington, and 52 over at Madeira. Current temperature in Silverton is 56, and over in Ludlow, Kentucky, 55, and down in Cynthiana, they're at 55 degrees right now as well. Take a look at our satellite photo, and we have some clouds over the tri-state. We're staying in the cloudy weather. Some clouds moved in the late evening hours, and we're going to stay in that. Here's what's causing that weather for tri-state. Low pressure system right now. It's going to be moving our way later on tonight. As you can see, a large area of rainfall over the southern half of the nation. We're going to stay in the snowy, stay out of the snowy areas rather. The rain is going to stay far to our south as that new storm system continues to develop. Satellite photos showing the clouds that have moved into the region. We put them in motion for you. Not a whole lot of movement on those clouds. So we're going to stay in the cloudy skies as we head on into tomorrow's weather with that rainfall. We're also watching a developing low pressure system over the high plains. That'll change your snowfall over to a few wet snow showers tomorrow. No accumulation, but by tomorrow afternoon, we're going to see some much cooler temperatures. In the forecast for tonight's weather, we'll see that rain developing, a mild low temperature getting down to 44. For tomorrow, some rain, possibly a thunderstorm or two early. That'll all end around noontime, and for the afternoon hours, we'll see some colder air funneling in. So we'll get up to 48 degrees. Temperatures are slowly going to fall throughout the day tomorrow, and we'll see a few snow flurries as well. Today's weather picture comes to us from Bobby Brown. He's a 5-year-old from over in Damasceville, Kentucky. And as you can see, Norma, some very large raindrops on that picture. So we're going to see some large raindrops over the tri-state tomorrow. And we'll end the day with cooler temperatures and a few snow flurries. Oh, one more thing. For a few of you who didn't put their numbers on the postcards and all that other information on the ski night, here's the deal. We've already done the drawing. The 100 people who are in the drawing have already been notified by phone, and of course those free ski passes will be coming in the mail to those people. The recipients of the set of skis and the Aspen vacation will be announced Tuesday night over at Perfect North Slope. So if you haven't got a call yet, you're probably not one of the winners. Those folks have been notified. But you'll still be able to go
still
there.
be our friend.
Yeah.
I've got clout, so I'll get you guys in. Don't worry
Thanks
about
a lot.
it. Yeah.
And Joe Lazure will be here at
6 o'clock
with a full extended forecast
You'll
and
look ahead to
everything
the
you need to
weekend.
know.
Thanks,
a
Chris.
lot.
Next in sports, the Redskins are on a roll. Ken Brew shows us why Miami basketball is really moving when we return.
Hello, I'm Jeff Weiler, speaking for the all-new Jeff Weiler Auto Center on Route 32. 5 franchises plus van land at one location. Now, what can you do with $159? Well, at Jeff Weiler's Auto Center, you can choose between a Chevy Cavalier, a Geo Metro, a Plymouth Horizon, or a Mazda 323. Your choice of any of these 4 cars for $159 down and $159 a month. Horizon, 323, Metro, Cavalier. So visit the Jeff Weiler Auto Center today, Route 32, where it's cheaper in the country.
If you're waiting to buy eyeglasses to see who's offering what specials this month, iWorld has something special to tell you. I'm Dr. Milton Goodstein, founder of iWorld Optical. We don't run so-called specials because our everyday price is so low that our customers always save money. Single vision glasses complete starting at just $37.88, bifocals at just $57.88. So if you're thinking about a new pair of glasses, come into any of our iWorld stores and see what real savings are.
So I asked my Harold, how about a little fun and games? He was all ears. Then I confessed, I've been playing while you're at work, and tonight I'm going for it all. Maybe wind up on TV. Well, are you into fun and games?
Fun and Games is the wildest Kentucky lottery game ever. Win up to $20,000 instantly or match 3 TVs for a chance to appear on the Fun and Games TV show where you could win over $100 grand in cash and prizes.
All my friends want to get lucky on TV. 10 Fun and Games tickets.
Fun and Games, the wild game that's always in season.
5, 6, 7, and... Come on, you can do it. 6, 7, Again, 6, 7, 8.
After making it on Broadway, some of the finest entertainers around go off-Broadway. They appear on the pleasure ships of Norwegian Cruise Line. No other cruise line offers such entertainment. Norwegian Cruise Line, the best vacation you've ever had. Plus...
talking Reds because Ken has a little pin on his lapel.
I have a pin on my lapel. They had a news conference today to announce the cable games, and Steve Schott was down there. I said, Steve, what a lovely pin. He took it off his lapel and gave it to me.
You should have
Nice.
said. You should
I'm
have
going to
said.
ask about his watch tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. What's the pin stuff? Come on.
No,
think
but it is.
big.
It's kinda,
Think
I
big.
think it's kind of nice.
Yeah,
anyway,
very
I'm going to
nice.
wear it tonight. Listen, the Reds, you know, we have them here on Channel 5, but now they got this other deal going where they're going to be on cable TV as well this season.
So you get to see a lot of games.
Well, but that's the question, you see. That's the key question here tonight. Ooh. See, the question is you got to ask yourself, is more better? I mean, if the Reds get hot this summer, it's an easy yes. Whatever, if you got cable TV, you will get to see the Reds games and more of them this summer because today at Riverfront Stadium, the announcement was made. Reds principal owner Marge Schott has signed a deal to bring 25 to 35 more games to you. Not as great a deal as the Yankees have.
I would like to say we have a deal like George, but that's not true. This might pay for half a Davis, but every little bit helps. But I do think it's the way to go, and I think we're working with very good people.
The cable company that will be bringing it is Sports Channel, which is a series of regional cable companies out of New York City. What it really means to you is 70 to 75 games total this season if you have cable TV on Channel 5 and also on cable TV. More on this coming up at 6 o'clock. Right now, let's get on to hoops because Miami has got to go to Ball State tonight. The Skins are playing good basketball, and I know they lost the other night at Evansville, but there's no crime in that. Our lonesome George Vogel says Miami playing well should be no shock.
If someone had told you a month ago this would happen, you never